Welcome back to the podcast. My name is Joseph Clough, and this is episode 361, or if you're in the coaching program, it is episode 540. And of course, if you ever want to get access to those extensions, crazy long ones, so like pretty much coaching calls, and phenomenal other processes, just go to josephclough.info/go, and then we can figure out if you're a good fit. Sadly, not everyone is actually accepted. We only get like 30% of people we actually invite to the program, but if that is something that you are keen on to get the real support, just go to josephclough.info/go. Today, this episode is really about considering and understanding and awakening to the truth. And it's one of those things which is hard to grasp at times, because our issues, the things which are stopping us, the self-sabotage, the worries, the doubts, the fears, are things which are ultimately, crazily, illusionary real. Now, what do I really mean by illusionary real? So, reality and our issues is all based on perception, right? So, based on the experiences you've been through in the past, you will start to formulate certain ideas or some conclusions of how you experience your world, where it's a great place to live in, a horrible place to live in, whether you're worthy of that promotion or maybe you're not worthy of that promotion. You see, that limitation of thought, or that liberation of thought, is absolutely, without a doubt, subjective. You see, if it was objective, it'll be pretty much factual, right? So everyone would have the exact same belief about what is possible or what is not possible, what is true, what is not true. So if we think about the issues that we experience, they are in an existence based on a few things. So number one, if it's an issue, for example, is usually based on maybe going through some, what I would call, significant emotional events. And when it comes to an issue, it'll be a negative, significant emotional event. So wherever that were to be when you were very, very young and you went through a stressful time, and then you come to the conclusion that maybe I'm not good enough, or people are bad, or money is an issue, we will come to that conclusion based on our past situations. And of course, the more intense of those situations or those past significant emotional events will come to a stronger belief system. Now, the thing about belief systems, they can be broken. Wouldn't you agree? Have you ever had a belief system which was once true to you, but is no longer true to you? Maybe it was as simple as you used to believe in, say, Santa, Father Christmas, right? You may believe that. Now, you may still do if you're like one of those awesome people. But there'll be a belief system which you may no longer believe to be true. And it was all subjective based on what you were told, what you experienced, and it changed over time. Maybe there were some foods which you disliked, which you now like. Maybe there's some foods which you absolutely loved, but for whatever reason became a dislike. In fact, I remember, now this was years ago, I was employed by a company to train their staff. And that's something that I do. I go into either companies or work with systems and like changing the whole psychology of a sales team or a leadership team, or even front at desk kind of stuff, right? Like how we communicate. Now, there's this one situation which was really fun because they didn't quite know about me at the time, but they found out that I was a hypnotist. So they were like, well, prove it to me that I'm a that you do hypnosis and that it's real. So, of course, I always love a challenge, always know what I can do and the changes you can make. Now, of course, the bigger the change is usually the bigger the emphasis and desire to change. But in this case, it was a desire to change, but it was more of a desire to be proved that it could not be changed. So I was really up against it. Now, this person almost had a phobic reaction to bananas. Now, you might think that's interesting, right? But let me explain why. You see, when he was a child, he did not eat his bananas at school, right? They were given a banana at school, didn't want it. So what the teacher did is they peeled the banana, mashed it up so it was all mushy, and made him eat it. Now, that time it came to a conclusion. Like, oh my goodness, would you want to eat mashed up bananas? So it created this decision, like that emotion of not wanting it, not liking bananas in the first place, now having to eat them mashed up and being totally made to do it, otherwise being punished, created an idea about bananas. So what I did, and it literally took me 5-10 minutes to do with that person, was change his association from one thing to another. And it totally changed how he saw the banana, right? From beginning, absolute phobic disgust, to absolutely, and I promise you, we actually got a banana. So one of these fancy hotels, and so we just got a banana from there, and showed him banana. He peeled it, ate it, didn't quite love it, because that's okay, not everyone will love it. But he tolerated it and he didn't find it repulsive. It was something that he could eat and he could grow to love. But because of those past situations, so where it be like kind of small, so it doesn't have to be crazy traumatic, but being made to do something he disliked created this formulation of disgust when it came to bananas. Now, if we think about that on a greater scheme, if you go through a very significant emotional event, maybe you were cheated on, maybe that you set up a business and you became bankrupt, you may come up with some conclusions. Maybe just like me, your teacher made you stand up in front of everyone, you didn't handle it very well, and you got a phobia or a fear of being in public, which then goes into social anxiety or worries and doubts and things like that. But as we think about that is all subjective. Wouldn't you agree that there are times in your life where you have absolutely changed your belief system, where you are totally in a belief, and then for whatever reason, something happened, or counter evidence or a counter experience showed the alternative, which made you question your own belief systems? You see, your beliefs right now, without a doubt, are dictating your reality. And the beautiful thing about it is that they're all subjective. Like, there is something within you, your unconscious mind, which is subjectively believing something to be true or not true. So whether you don't feel you're good enough, not worthy, money's a bad thing, fear of being found out, in other words, like you feel like, that imposter syndrome, you think, oh, what if I realize I'm a terrible person, or realize I'm not good at anything? It happens, right? It's a subjective belief system which was created through past experiences, which created a decision in you to believe in something. And like I said, the beautiful aspect is this: you didn't have it for your whole life. And since you didn't have it for your whole life, so you didn't come out of the womb believing you're not good enough. You didn't come out of the womb thinking money's a bad thing, because you had no perception of that to be true. It was only gained through experience, or created through experience. Now, in the time of that decision, if we really break it down, is the truth of the matter is it was probably created in a second. It was probably created under a great amount of stress. If you look at every phobia, for example, they don't usually happen over time. They happen because maybe when we're a child, we see that dog and it got a little bit too boisterous, and in that one moment, we decided unconsciously, not consciously, but unconsciously, that I hate dogs. And then each subsequent event with the dog just cemented that belief system, and it trained up your neurology. But if it could be created in a second, what if I said it could be dismantled in a second, and then something else popping in its place which will actually serve you? Because that is the reality of the situation you're in right now. I understand the illusionary belief that we believe that we're broken, that we believe we're unfixable. We believe that things will never change. I'll always be in debt. I can never lose weight. I can never have what I want. I can never have the relationship. Whatever it is for you, That belief system is, number one, formulated through past experience because it is the best guesstimate of what could happen in the future. But it was created under stress. How many great decisions do you ever make under stress? If you're like most people, we're not clear-minded, so therefore we have a decision based on not enough wisdom or knowledge or learnings to make a better decision. So it gets formulated there in that instance, and then it is cemented through future situations, and it becomes a self-fulfilling it just becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? Now let me ask you this question, or let me paint this picture in your mind. If you have a belief about something, let's say it's negative, as you think about that belief, like I'm not good enough, that will shrink your capabilities, right? So you will no longer think that you can get that job or get that relationship because you're not good enough to get it, or you may be found out you're not worthy of it. So therefore, your capacity, your capabilities will be shrunk. They'll just be like a closing corridor, getting squeezing, and you don't really have much wiggle room to be able to choose or do something differently. So that belief shrinks down your capacity, your capabilities of what you can or cannot do, which then has a knock-on effect on your behavior. So in other words, because you don't have the capacity, which is infinite and full of potentiality to see things differently, it's very shrunk right now, you will then act or behave in your environment in a displeasing way with lots of resistance. And the resistance and the limited set of behaviors you have will then produce a certain set of results, wouldn't they? I mean, if you're believing you're not good enough and therefore you don't act in your full capacity of what your true potentiality is, you behave in a smaller way, so therefore you do behaviors which do not serve you, do not help you, and therefore the results you get will happen. And that's in the negative, which then guess what? That just cements the original belief of not being good enough. And the cycle continues and continues and continues until we could carry out our whole life, ultimately wishing we did things differently, wishing that there was another way, if we could just flick the switch. Now, if we just reverse that cycle, imagine if you woke up one day, and it could take 4, 6, 8 weeks. That's usually what we do in our program. But whether it takes you the next 10 years, right? It doesn't matter. Let's just say you wake up one day and it's no longer there, and it's the opposite belief seems to be true for you, just like how you've changed your belief many, many times in the past about life, about certain situations. If you suddenly woke up realizing if it was to be from not worthy to being totally worthy, from not good enough to be totally good enough, from not deserving to absolutely deserving, to not feeling love to being absolutely knowing your pure love for yourself. When you go into situations, your capacity, your capabilities are now tenfold, 100-fold. You now can see the differences. You can see the reality. You're no longer deleting it based on that old limiting belief. So therefore, you're now like, oh my goodness, what else can I do? And then that transforms and transcends what you do. So therefore, your behaviors are in sync with your capacity because you have now a strong belief, which then gets you the results you want, which, guess what, just reaffirms that new empowering belief. Does that make sense? Like, there's 2 cycles we can go down, and if you have any issue right now, you're going down the opposite, which is just reaffirming the same old thing. But if you were to awaken to the fact that technically, just take this away if anything, you might not get the total solution right now. I mean, the podcast is here to coach you through things, enlighten you to things, and then what you do with that, whether you work with me, you listen to a hypnosis track, you work with someone else, doesn't matter to me. Like, we don't operate from scarcity. When you go about that way and realize that actually the belief I have must be very, very fluid. Despite it appearing rock solid, despite it believing 100% as if that's all you are, realize right now, this is simply a subjective belief system which can be so fluid, it can flip-flop to the absolute opposite. Now, the reason why we have limiting beliefs are usually because they're trying to keep us safe. Sad but true. It's the only way it can do it because you weren't all that stressed at the time, so you made a limiting decision, therefore ill behaviors to support it, and then, as we said, it cements it in place. But the purpose is usually a form of protection, or it's an idea that it was the best thing you could do at that moment. When I was made to stand up in front of everyone in my class, I wasn't necessarily logically thinking, well, I'm just going to create this social anxiety and all this doubt in my life to try to protect me. I didn't have the logical, conscious ability to be able to think differently. It was very subjective. I was under a lot of pressure, just like you. So we have to realize the beliefs that we have about ourselves are so illusionary. They are so easily and effortlessly sometimes able to be changed. Now, if any other person in the world says to you, look, it takes years to let go of this depression or anxiety or why you gotta talk about it till you're blue in the face. You gotta understand it, analyze it. If it were me, I'd be like, I just don't get that. I don't believe it. I've seen the other evidence to be true. I've seen people change in 30 seconds from a deep issue to absolute pure bliss and self-worth, where they feel unstoppable while simultaneously being safer than ever before. You see, the real secret is this. If you can provide at a deep unconscious level to weave it into your unconscious mind, not to let go of the problem, but to evolve it into what it was meant to be, with all the insight and logical reasoning at a conscious level, but into your unconscious mind, that issue, that big one issue you experience right now, will absolutely disappear because it biologically has to. It absolutely biologically will have to disappear once your unconscious mind has the deep epiphany, once it realizes there's another way of being. But as I said, the purpose of this episode is to realize, let this be your true epiphany. You are not broken. You are not unfixable. You are not your issue. It is simply, and I say simply with the wonderful love for you, it is a behavior which was formulated, which became a habit, which became a perception of your identity. But like every aspect of us, which is fluid, it is all subjective. It can be molded and created into what you want it to be. Now, if you go and think about things like this, I am now, having let go of my issue, having woken up to the fact that not only is it illusionary, but also I can create what I want. I can really create my mind, my results, because I assume responsibility having educated my system. I now realize that those issues that I experienced are some of the most profound, non-regrettable experiences I've ever had. Despite all the pain I've experienced, despite all the pain you've experienced, despite going through all these situations, despite all of that, it allowed me to wake up. Without that issue, I would not be where I am today. I would not have created like 360 episodes, right, or wherever number we're on. I would not have got over 8 million downloads. If my life was all fine and beautiful, I would never have got into this situation where I land myself now, which is being so grateful to have a life that I have, making a positive impact on the people I personally connect with, even from afar, from like a podcast or a YouTube video, or from connecting on Facebook or whatever it may be, right? Or for one of the complimentary breakthrough calls we do. I'm so grateful for that, because I'm grateful for the issues I had, because they showed a light onto the illusionary mindset I once had. Get that in your system right now. There is no solution believing you're unfixable. There is no solution believing you're broken. I understand how you could come to that conclusion, but I will be blatantly honest with you, it is just wrong. absolutely wrong despite it feeling so true to you. It is just a subjective experience, an ideal that we came up with based on our past experience. When you logically and consciously realize this is not who you are, this is just a part which was created. Because we all have parts, right? On the one hand, you're like, look, Joseph, I really want to be happy, wealthy, contribute to the world, or have a great relationship, be my desired weight. But on the other hand, there's that big doom and gloom on our other hand, which is saying, look, you're not good enough. You're going to be found out. You're going to be broke for the rest of your life, or you're not going to get a healthy relationship. Who do you to think you are to make that change? That's the conflict. But if you tell me there is that little bit of you which believes in something different, which realizes there's more to be had, you realize that there's something out there which will help you, get you to become the true you. You're on the first step. Assume that responsibility, even if it feels real, to know that you are ultimately in control of your mind. It may take time, depending on the solutions that you choose. Some work, some don't, some are okay, some improve it. Sometimes they're just like band-aids, or in England we call them like a plaster. It just heals or it covers up a wound, doesn't really heal it. Your job is to figure out, number one, if I assume my responsibility for my life, do I have more opportunity to change my life? Rather than being just a reason as to why I am like I am. Because I always say, are you more committed to the solution or the problem? If we're more committed to the problem, it's okay if that's what you want, but that comes to your commitment, that comes to your decision. If you're more committed to the solution, you'll start to make changes. That's factual, right? If you do it enough, you find out through enough people, you might have to go for 1 million coaches, but you'll eventually get there. I mean, ideally you find the right one who resonates with you, who you feel like is a good person and really gets you. Of course, that is better, you'll get the result. But to realize that you can assume responsibility for your mind, for your results, to assume responsibility for where you are, regardless of what mean people have been in the world, if you assume responsibility for right now and realize the beliefs you have about yourself dictate your experience of what is good and what is bad, but realizing that that is not cemented, it's not rock solid, it's not factual. It is just your present mindset, and of course your mindset can change in any given moment. And once you wake up to that fact, you'll realize that not only will you be able to overcome it, not only will you be able to allow it to be your greatest instigator, that will cause you to go on to bigger things than you could ever imagine. More health, more wealth, more relationships, more happiness, more connection with your personal truth. You will realize that life can be the most beautiful thing. Even in the challenge, you will realize there's more to learn, there's more to grow, there's more wonderful, beautiful things that you can experience on a momentary basis where you just love what you do. You love who you are. You love the experience, good, bad, or indifferent, to a degree because you know that you can learn and grow because of it. So the choice is, are we committed to our present reality, which is ultimately illusionary based on our past, because it's not factual, or are we committed to the solution to realize it is illusionary and that something else can be chosen? That is the choice that you have today. You can choose differently. But I do really want to declare to you that once you decide upon the real truth, the real reality, and you take massive inspired action upon it, with the right system or the right program. I don't care if it's from reading a book, listening to an audio, talking to a friend, or paying someone some obscene amount of great money, because it's still worth it, right, to get the result. It doesn't really matter, but to realize the deeper truth of who you are, at the deepest part of you, you can awaken to the beauty in the world. And the beauty is you. You can be the solution. You can be the problem. That's a fluidity of life, the choice of life. I, of course, wish you just the very best. I wish you to see the true potentiality of you, but realize it comes from you. And I say that because I've been there. Some people say, like, oh, it's easy for you to say, Joseph, you're all great and happy. You're living a good life. You're making a change. You're being of purpose. But I'm like, seriously? Do you not know that the journey before my life right now was hard? It may not be as hard as yours. I mean, I'm not trying to, there's no competition here. But to declare just because someone has it easy means that they can't do it is just another reason. Realize that we're all on this journey together. You can connect with people. You can realize that this doesn't have to be this way. We've been through our stuff. Now we can be an example of change, or we can be an example of our present repeating reality. And that's when we wake up. We wake up to something different. And I know it's not going to happen for everyone listening to this right now. Maybe it's not your moment. Maybe it is. But realize, in every single moment, we have an opportunity to change our life. And that change of our life could be the greatest impact, not just for you, but for your family, a future relationship, a present relationship, a career opportunity, a monetary opportunity, a health opportunity. The opportunities around you are always there. It's whether we are guided to that way through our thoughts and our desire and our will, or our choice to experience just more resistance. Whatever we choose, we get more of. I like to go on the other side of the equation and go, look, I'm going to assume responsibility despite the rubbish which has happened to my life. Because I know if I'm going to place odds on someone, it's going to be me. Because I control me. I can't control the odds of other people. I wish I could, but I can't. But I can place a bet on myself because I am in sole responsibility of me. And just like you, I prefer to bet on you, or for you to bet on you, rather on reasons, excuses, worries or doubts of the past, or the illusionary idea that that is all you are. You're not. Let's wake up to this. There's so much more to learn, so much more to discover. You just gotta make that change. And it just comes from the decision to doing something differently. If something's not working, do something different. Seek the right support. Educate yourself like you would, because I always ask myself this question to finish things off. Would I rather stay the same for years, for decades, for the rest of my life, and just be committed to all the negativity which will flow, which usually increases? Or will I be committed to the opportunity of change? Will I be committed to be the source of my power, the purposeful? Because if we go down the route of, if we go down the route of religion or spirituality, or even our friends or our unconscious mind, it always wants the best for you. You can be a part of it. The joy, the happiness, the worth, the deserving, the abundance, the gratitude, all of that. Or we can deny it from our life. We can deny it because maybe we want the reasons as to why we shouldn't change. That is the opportunity we all have. The wake-up call, I call it. We either wake up, rather a breakdown, we have a breakthrough. Rather being a victim, you be a victor of your life. It's all on you, and that's beautiful. So you have the most wonderful day. I just want you to realize there's so much more to happen, to create, to break through the illusions. Just be awesome. Do what you gotta do. Make the change. And if you want help in supporting that, of course, we're there to support you in any way we can. We can't help everyone. Not everyone's a great fit. We will say no to many people. But if you are a good fit, we feel like we're going to get on, you can always apply to work with us. There's no direct way of doing it, enrolling or anything like that. You can just apply it. And that's josephclough.info/go. So you guys, you wonderful people, have the most wonderful day. And if it takes the opportunity to take the decision, make the decision to be greater today than you were yesterday. It all comes from you. So let's make it happen. right now.